Hi guys, you always learn something new when you listen to the modern Conservative Party. May not exactly be true, but that's a side issue. Now, the Shadow Business Secretary Andrew Griffith appeared on the Laura Kuenssberg show where he was asked about comments the ex-mayor Andy Street made about a potential pact with Nigel Farage. The former West Midlands mayor warned his party against getting into bed with Reform UK. But Andrew sort of dodged that and started talking about the Liberal Democrats, 4-day weeks, and veganism.
Would you respond to Andy Street saying you should have nothing to do with reform, whether that's at local council level or national level?
Well, if people want a Conservative-led council, and I think they should because they run services better, rates are lower, then they've got to vote Conservative. There's always been, after elections, for local councillors themselves to disport how they're going to run the local council. That won't be needed if people vote Conservative. But if that is needed, then historically people have done deals on a local council level with all sorts of groups. I think the Lib Dems are quite extremist. Whenever they get into council, they want 4-day weeks and veganism.
But it's a bit...
I've heard the Liberal Democrats called a lot of things, but extremists, they're referred to as the most boring party in politics, the Liberal Democrats, right in the centre, not left, not right, but centre, a safe pair of hands, nothing too extreme. But for the Conservatives, it seems they're extremists, because they want things like veganism and a 4-day week. Okay, when it comes to veganism, what they're obviously suggesting is, a reduction in the consumption of meat, because we know the impact it has on the environment. There is a push for schools to have vegan options at schools for children. So I don't think this is something extremist. And then a 4-day week has been proven, according to studies around the world, to actually increase productivity. Because if you give people a bit more free time, they're able to recharge their batteries and they're able to be better workers. It doesn't matter if it's in the private sector or the public sector. If people are able to take a longer break, they're able to recharge their batteries, as I said, and be more productive. Also, they're able to focus their work better. Most time is lost from people waiting around for an email to come back with a request from their boss or whatever. A lot of time is wasted just doing meetings that are pointless. If people have a shorter week, their work is more concentrated, they're more focused, and they also have more time to spend with their families, do their hobbies, to rest and recuperate. And it's been proven. There are report after report, study after study that demonstrate this point.
But no one should take that off the table, because those are decisions for local councillors to decide. It shouldn't get there because people can vote Conservative.
Oh, well, we'll see what our viewers think about you saying that Lib Dems are all vegan, or suggesting that that's the case.
Them, but, too many.
But it's interesting, though.
Too many? Okay.
Andy Street takes a different tack on this, and he was a successful Conservative local leader for many years, and he's saying you should not have anything to do with them, that reform should be beyond the pale. So why then is your leader, Kemi Badenoch, saying there might be various coalitions and that's okay?
Look, I think Kemi's reflecting the reality that we have local democracy, and if people stand for local council and they want to do the best for their communities, then they will have to, in the light of how people have voted, work out what the right combination is. And I think
it's a bit defeatist to say that before the votes have taken place.
Well, no, I'm talking about an artifact of history. I've also said, Laura, and I'll say it again, if people want a well-run Conservative council with low council tax, then they should vote Conservative, and this will be a moot point.
Okay. Look, are the Conservatives going to do a pact with the Reform UK? They will have to. They will have to if they want power. Because they understand at this stage, Nigel Farage and his juggernaut are taking votes away from them. Be it on the local level or on the national level. I think it would be an absolute disaster having Reform UK in councils. Because their focus would not be on public services. It would be on cutting stuff or handing out deals to their friends and donors. Donald Trump is a good benchmark or template for what Reform UK would become. Nigel Farage was appearing on the Laura Kuenssberg show talking about, councils are wasting too much money on ergonomic chairs. while ignoring the point that most of the budget that councils have goes on social care. Ignoring that, he wants to focus on the sexy things. He wants to focus on the so-called waste and not on the real issues. Because Farage doesn't care about councils. He doesn't care about council meetings. He doesn't care about public services. He wants power. He wants attention. He's going to focus on the shiny things and ignore the hard work. He's been doing this all his life. All his political life anyway. So he's not going to change. But the Conservatives are so desperate for power, they don't care about public services either. They just want to get into power. And they will get into bed with the devil if it achieves that goal. So, of course, they're going to do a pact with Nigel Farage. It's not really going to benefit them in the long term, I think, because Farage wants to destroy the Conservative Party. He has said that on a number of occasions, or his underlings have said that as well. So this is not going to benefit the Conservative Party. They are moving further to the right all the time, thinking they can out-Farage, but it's not going to work. I think we're going to see either a reform-style Conservative Party in the future, or we're just going to see Farage take over the Conservative Party. And Kemi Badenoch will have a role to play there. She has an opportunity, and she's had an opportunity, to distance herself from the far right within the Conservative Party. But instead, she's embracing that. And I think this all stems from Boris Johnson and his weakness to stand up to the extremists in his party. Liz Truss, well, she was only there for 5 minutes. And, of course, Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak should have, and I said this at the time, he should have kicked Liz Truss and the crazies out of the Conservative Party. He had a mandate to do that, but instead embraced those people. And now we're stuck with a Conservative Party who's trying to out-Farage Farage.